It's spooky month, and with that comes a somewhat spooky theory. Today I'll discuss how nonexisty could be related to one's contracts, and what that could potentially mean for the future of TPOT. But first of all, to understand my theory, we need to understand my personal interpretation of nonexisty first. Most characters are named after an object, and so it is implied that nonexisty is non-existent, which at the same time is a contradictory statement, as how can something non-existent still be considered to be someone or something? Well, based of how nonexisty is treated whenever his presence is acknowledged, such as the TPOT debuters poll, it's implied that despite being non-existent, he can still be at a designated location, so his presence does exists. So here's how I think nonexisty works. He's nonexisty because he does not have a body, that's the object, nothing. However, what does exist is not a physical form but a conscience without a body, not able to express itself in any way, or affect its surroundings in any way, yet being aware of those surroundings, potentially just by hearing, but maybe by seeing too. BFDIA, Pin comes to mind, those scenes where Pin communicates with Coiny despite not having a face in episode 12, something like that, but of course without being able to communicate with anybody. What do I mean when I refer to the non-existent plane, in the title of this chapter? Well, here's the thing, when one deletes people from reality, they become non-existent, but it would not make any sense if a new object that's just become non-existent, would override the current non-existy, as non-existy itself is someone. And at the same time, I don't think this would make these other objects become non-existy too, non-existy 3, etc. So here's my interpretation of how becoming non-existent works. Despite there being a literal nonexisty itself, do you remember why nonexisty didn't join TPOT back in TPOT 1? I'll show you the clip.
What? What's wrong with prime numbers?
They're impossible to divide up evenly.
Yeah, exactly. There can't be a prime number of you, because that means the teams will have equal amounts of people.
Well, the nearest composite numbers are 40 and 42. None of us want to quit, so we'll have to add somebody. Why not go with the second most voted person from the pool of joiners?
That's a great idea. Thanks, Golfball. Okay, so the 42nd person should be non-existing. Let's see. 41 plus 0 equals 41. Well, that won't work, so we can't do that. Guess what? To go with the third placer instead. Teddy, welcome to the power of 2.
Oh yeah, I take back all the things I said about winter while I was down there.
Just to be sure, you do equal 1, right?
I can if you want me to.
Great, and that means we have 42 contestants now. Now let's head downstairs for team picking.
So it seems like non-existy's value equals 0. It makes sense, as there's a total of 0 bodies that non-existy's conscience can inhabit. Now with that wording I think you can see where this is going, as what I'm thinking, is that whenever someone becomes non-existent, non-existy's value goes up by 1, those are the bodies that now belong to the non-existent plane, where just like some contestants have base abilities like let's say lightning who can electrocute people, in this case, nonexisty can put his conscience into one or maybe even multiple bodies at the same time, and actually exists physically, have his mind in a body. One seems to be very powerful, just like 4 and 2, she has some great base abilities, flying, telekinesis, and we see how she can rip off Donut's limbs, despite him never signing any contracts. So there seem to be no restraints to her power usage. So with that I'm sure everybody wonders, why does one need the contestants to sign a contract, to be able to delete them? Especially considering she doesn't even need neither 2's or 4's power to be able to do it, she just needs the contestants to sign the contracts. And here's my theory, you know how algebrailians are their own species, so are the objects, and for some reason the speaker boxes are a separate species from the rest of the objects too? Well, I think nonexisty is not an object, not an algebrailian, no none of that, but a part of his own species, and I'm not referring to multiple nonexisties existing, I don't know about that, but he's definitely is a different species, a being who owns the non-existent plane, and so, one can't just delete people, as she doesn't have the power to make others non-existent, she needs nonexisty to allow it. That right there, is what is in the contracts, nonexisty allowing one, to have others become non-existent, which is why one can't just delete people on her own. I'm sure there's one big question on your head right now, why would nonexisty team up with one? Why would nonexisty be an antagonist? And here's the theory, as nonexisty has consistently been nothing but a joke, and has as of TPOT, been denied of competing despite having enough votes to join, nonexisty perhaps has grown spiteful, and with the opportunity that one has given him, of finally being able to compete, that being by using the bodies of those who have become non-existent, he decides to let one delete the contestants she wants, and this is what I'm referring to, as the swap, that being the swap of nonexisty now controlling these contestants. But let me go a bit more in detail into the idea, so as you may be aware, one is inspired by Bill Cipher from Gravity Falls, and if you've seen the show, You know, the last 3 episodes occur on a chaotic apocalyptic version of the town, and I think that Teapot is just about to enter its apocalyptic stage, where Nonexisty would finally join the game, and be an evil edgy creature, I guess, with Nonexisty's end goal, and why he would allow one to delete the contestants being, that he'd be able to play and compete on BFDI. So there's some elephants in the room I thought I should acknowledge. First, there's the fact that Nonexisty is known for being neglected by Jack Jellify, and I like to think that it's because they simply didn't know how he could be implemented, but perhaps when they came up with the one storyline, they made one not exclusively steal 2's and 4's powers, but also delete the contestants, specifically so that they could finally explore Nonexisty in this darker tone season. Now the second elephant in the room is this suggested character called Existy. He's a peanut butter jar, and Nonexisty has been implied to taste like peanut butter, from that one BFDI episode where Fiery supposedly tastes him. I personally interpret this as a nod to the theory that because Fiery tasted peanut butter, then Nonexisty must have been a peanut butter jar, but also, I'd imagine this theory could nonetheless occur even if Existy was genuinely supposed to be the physical appearance Nonexisty would have. But simply put it, Jack and Jellify changed their minds at some point during Teapot's production, and Existy would just become a retcon, and nothing more. And now, to briefly recapitulate, I theorized that first, Nonexisty is part of his own species, and controls what I call the non-existent plane. Secondly, one needs the contracts to delete people, as Nonexisty has to allow others to become non-existent. Third, Nonexisty is just a conscience, but he can potentially be able to put his mind into the bodies of those who no longer exist. And fourth, is that following the trend of the apocalypse in Teapot, Nonexisty might compete in Teapot, by using these non-existent contestants. That's all I wanted to address here. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed the theory. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you on my next video. Bye.